All right. Who wants to go first?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get started first. I guess the feedback, peer review feedback for what I do for Miss Ray. I looked at your task 3, and I thought, considering the model we have, yours was aligned, going on the line with our course content. I thought that your strengths were you had some good visual graphics that you put in there, able to see and be able to understand and navigate through that. I guess the only thing I would say, and I don't know if necessarily a weakness, I guess considering about the annotated bibliography, I don't think I noticed that in there. And I've looked at some other ones, some did or some not. But your best practices, I thought that when you talked about that, it was well demonstrated as far as your leadership whenever you documented that, and I thought it was written professionally, and I sent that to you as well. And then it was well organized, and then your works cited, I looked at the bottom, they looked correct as far as that APA formatting was concerned. And yeah, with Whitney, look at yours. Your course was, of course, you was aligned with the course task. I thought you had a lot of data. I thought you had a lot of visual graphics and your annotated bibliographies and your online too. I thought that was a strength. All of those areas. I really didn't see anything as far as my reading of yours. As far as any weaknesses or anything like that. I thought you demonstrated leadership with your PLC meetings. And yeah, that narrative about those features was well documented. You was professionally written, and then thought you had a good job of organization, and looked like a model. Task 3, considering how they want us to model, and then your work site APA style formatted looked correct to me. So glad both of you guys in my group.
I'll go ahead and go next. Starting with Cindy, your information was professionally written. It was written with the language and the professionalism that they require us to use. I like the fact that you went into a lot of detail, give the reader the understanding of what you were actually doing and how you were trying to plan it out. And I like the fact that you use your documentation and your graphics to relate to what you were talking about. It actually gave me some insight into how that math component works. And even with that program, it sounds like it's a really good program. I don't know if we use that program in our district or not, but it sounds like it works really well at your grade level for your students, or it's going to work functionally for your students to give them the tool and the boost that they need to bring up their math scores and gain some more understanding. I think all of our children probably struggle with the reading and math component. So that program that you guys are using, it seems like it's something that's going to work really good for you guys, especially if you can use it in the way in which you format it for your PLC. Like I said, the information was good. Because I'm not familiar with the math side of instructional, I got lost for a minute, but you brought me back. So I like that. A person like me who don't have that experience in that area, it was not technical, but it was in the sense that if I was a math teacher or somebody in the classroom, I would understand it immediately. Being kind of like the lay person, at first it kind of lost me, but like I said, the information you gave, if you continue to read, it will bring you back and give you an understanding of what's going on. So I like the fact that you have that well-rounded, so anybody can read your paper and gain understanding if they read it. The citing was fine. The only thing I noticed was the running head. I don't know if the word running head is supposed to be up there or not. Other than that, that's the only thing I really noticed that I thought needed to be put there, but everything else was fine. David, as far as yours is concerned, and Cindy, I didn't see an annotated bibliography.
No.
Yeah.
I did. After I read Whitney's, I realized that I left it off, and I haven't added it on there. But I will add it on the final thing. But thank you. Yes.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Same thing, David. I think probably all three of us didn't do annotated bibliography. I think Whitney's like the only one in the group to do, but that's the only thing I noticed that needed to be done. For some reason, my laptop wasn't connected to my phone, so I had to look at yours on my phone. So I couldn't really tell how the formatting was because it's just like one long thing. But I'll be able to look at it more once I get onto my computer. But as far as the information contained within your paper, it was on point with your PLC, with the strategies that you want to utilize for the male Black group for the agriculture program, trying to increase the numbers, trying to increase the participation. It seems like you know, on task with that, and it's just a matter of now implementing your thoughts in your PLC group, is implementing everything and putting it into place. So in citing APA style, as far as your reference is concerned, was fine. I think you had some more you said you wanted to add in there. So once you add those in there, it should be good to go.
All right.
I can go next. Cindy, yours looked good content-wise. You had a lot of good data about iReady, which is really cool because I got to do the same thing as you.
Yes.
So I got to relate to it, and I feel like our papers can be very similar in what we're doing with our PLC. But you did good research on the program and why you're using it and why it's a good practice. The charts and the data was really good on there. Like Tisha said, no annotated bibliography, but I'm sure you'll go back and add that. Felt like your PLC meeting showed good leadership in what you were doing. I noted some grammar in your paper, but the organization and APA for the most part looked pretty good to me. David, felt like you did a good job showing your best practices for what you were doing as well. I did see your annotated bibliography, but I felt like it needed to go at the end of your paper and not, I don't know, I felt like it was in the middle, kind of like you put your annotated bibliography, then you went and talked about something else. I think it needs to go like near your references.
Okay.
Also, I know you mentioned like your PLC meeting throughout your paper a little bit, but maybe have a section of like maybe like what your PLC meeting was about and what you talked about in that meeting and how you talked about your best practices. I don't know if you've had that meeting yet or not, but maybe have a section about that. It'll show more leadership, I think, for you. And then I noted some grammar and things in your comments. There were some sections that you need to change the font. You had 2 different fonts going on in there. And there was a couple places where you may needed a space. And then your references, you had a lot of good references. And then on your reference page, make sure they're in alphabetical order.
Okay.
But everything else looked good.
Good.
Okay. Okay, I'll start with Tisha's. I thought you showed great leadership. You followed the plan with what they expected. I was kind of like you. I'm not familiar with the language that you use with the counseling end of it. So I reread some of the things, and so I thought it was really good. I wondered, there was one place I wondered, like where it says literature review. I know later on you use the word best practice, but I wondered if maybe you should use best practice earlier on. That's just a thought. When it said community-based school is one approach, and when you use the word approach, I just wondered if approach and best practice were the same thing,
Hmm.
but it may not be. I don't know because I'm not familiar with that. I really liked how you divided it up into the sections and you really talked about each one of the best practices, though, when you got onto your paper, when you mentioned best practices, you really went into detail about each one and how it's going to be helpful. I like the figures that you put in with the models and talking about the whole student. And you had a lot of good, the graphics, the figures that you put in. I had one question about online resources.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's where they go or not. Whitney probably knows more about that than I do as far as the APA style goes, but I saw that you had online resources before your conclusion, and I don't know if that's actually where it goes or not, but according to APA, might be something that you look at. Other than that, I thought it was great. You had a lot of really good works that you cited. It looks like the APA style. There was on the very last page, there was a chart, and I'm wondering if that needs to be put into an appendix. So instead, because it was kind of at the end of your work cited, and I thought it might need to have an appendix. Because what he's told me, or put it in your paper, because what Bullis has commented on mine is that it needs to be inserted in the narrative. If you're going to put it in the narrative, put it in the narrative after it's mentioned in the narrative.
Right.
And I think it would fit well in the narrative, but either that or an appendix. That's just a thought. I thought it was very well written, and you can clearly see your leadership and that you're going in the right direction. Whitney's, yours was great. I think I may have noted, the only thing I noted was maybe one comma. I had lots, when I was writing on my, I was writing on my piece of paper here. You can't see it, but I was doing lots of smiley faces because I was like, I thought that's pretty cool. The only thing I noted was that under the PLC meeting and best practice, where it says the candidate began the meeting by reminding the PLC, use the word operations and then algebraic thinking. I think you might want to add numbers in operations. I don't know. That was the only thing I really noted. Of course, you stuck to what you're supposed to do. Your charts and graphs and data were amazing. Lots of really good stuff. Gave me some good ideas for things to go in mine, actually. Things for me to look at, and I thought I'd studied this iReady thing and all I could, but there was some things that you had put in here that I hadn't seen. Your annotated bibliography was pretty amazing, so that was awesome. I think that's about it. Everything else looked fantastic. So,
Thanks.
all right. Anything else? Are we?
I just have a quick question. So is it, well, because I looked at the other people's papers just to kind of get an idea to make sure I was on the right track. And I know that some people did, like, I did the online references at the end, and some people did or did not do an annotated bibliography. So I got a little confused with that. So
Well, I think Whitney's definitely on the right track. She's has the annotated bibliography, and it's supposed to be there.
Okay.
When I read the rubric, it just didn't click. When it said annotated bibliography, I didn't see the annotated part. All I saw was the bibliography part. So until I read Whitney's, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have that.
Okay.
I mean,
I
it's
guess
on the rubric to have it in it. I think on the rubric too, it says to have online resources too.
Yes, it did.
So I
Okay.
put my online resources with my annotated bibliography.
Okay. So I just kind of look at yours and get an idea. And because basically annotated bibliography is basically the sources that we use within our paper, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. I didn't necessarily reference all of mine, I don't think,
Okay.
in my paper, but like I didn't use it as a reference, like as a quote in my paper.
Gotcha.
But we talked about like I know this doesn't mean anything to you because of the content, but one of my best practices is to use number talks to help in math instruction. But I didn't necessarily reference number talks. the number talk book in my paper
Gotcha.
because I talked about it in my meeting
Mhm.
and researched it. I use it as in my annotated bibliography and talked about what the book was about.
Okay, I understand. I got you.
I mean, just listening and looking, like you said, I don't think it would be wrong if we have some in both. Is that what you think, Whitney?
What do you mean in both?
Like if you have an annotated bibliography and you have a reference.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So like my research best practice that I talked about most was iReady, the iReady program. So I
Mhm.
used it in my annotated bibliography and I used it on my reference page because I actually did reference it in my paper.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And then like the online resource part, that's just kind of like extra stuff that, you know, could be used in the classroom or whatever you're doing.
Okay.
Like our curriculum has an online piece too that you can use. And I put it on my online resources. But like I said, I didn't necessarily reference it in my paper.
I got you. That makes sense. Thank
So,
you.
so the online resources, Whitney, so that's just things that we can refer to help it, to help like as extra resources for the teachers to use. Is that what it is?
Or students.
Okay.
Like for us, Cindy, we use Pearson Realize.
Right.
You
I
know?
saw that. Mhm.
And it's, you know, teachers use it for their lessons, but you can also go in and there's a student portion too where you can assign them assignments or quizzes or games or
Right.
just for practice. So, and it gives you feedback. So that's why I used that.
Okay.
But I noticed on another paper, I did what Tisha did. I used another paper kind of to make sure I was on the right track. And the person had used like a quiz website, and he said that you could go on there and the students can take quizzes and that kind of thing just for extra practice. So I don't think you necessarily have to reference it in your paper.
Right.
Okay.
It's
That
just an
makes sense.
extra resource that you could use in the class.
Okay. That helps. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If y'all are ready, we'll end this one and start our next one.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do we have to wait till 8 o'clock for the start or just?
What time is it right now?
10 till.
Okay. Unless I can go in and start it earlier. Do you want me to just go in and start it earlier?
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll try to go ahead and log in.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, you may not be able to log into that one because it won't start till 8, but do you want me to create a new one? I'll create a new one right now and send you the link. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. All right.